Hi, everybody, and welcome back to TV 15 as we talk all things Muskogee Ruffer football. I'm Bill Huddleston, along with the coach of the Muskogee Ruffers, Rafe, Watkins. Have you dried out yet? I know one thing, you're still smiling after that 7-6 exciting, heart-stopping victory over Tulsa, Washington.
It was a crazy game. It was a great ball game, especially it was a really well-played game for both teams in the elements that it was.
Right.
The first half or the first quarter, not a lot of rain, got a little drizzle in the second, and then the third and fourth was just pouring. And first drive, starting out for us, I can't think of a better drive that I can ever remember. I mean, just what we wanted. We talked about it before going out. Said we had to have sustained drives. We talked about it, earlier in the week of how even if we didn't score, we had to have those 2 and 3 first downs, take 4 or 5 minutes off the clock, and we did that pretty well all night long. But the first drive,
That was
21
amazing.
plays,
Exactly.
9.5 minutes, and 90 yards and a touchdown. You couldn't ask for anything better. And who would have known that right there with the extra point was the difference in the game?
Absolutely, and to think about, some big plays in that drive too. One that got you right to the edge of the goal line, the pass out in the flat to Connor Ashley on a third and long, and a perfect pass from Ty, and Connor makes a great grab, and then you kind of surprise everybody with that toss to the end zone.
Well, all it was just bringing in our diesel package, which is just our heavy. We bringing in Davion Williams and some of our big boys up in there for power, and they didn't. I think it was Jordan that just stayed out there. He went back inside the numbers, and nobody went out there with him. They just saw our big boys coming in, so they knew they was going to put them all in the box, and left him out there. And we had a pass play or a run play called, but at any time we see a guy not out there so quick, he's going to raise up. So luckily, Jordan's out there waving at Ty, and Ty throws it out there to him for a 1-yard touchdown. But it was crazy they didn't line up to it. But regardless, I'd like to think at first and goal we were going to get in anyway. But that sure made it handy. But defensively all night long, I was really proud of the kids.
Absolutely.
The talent that they had, and I tell you, them getting back one, the Tig kid. You don't realize how big he is until because you're walking around, and I knew that they had changed 8 to 0 because of the numbers that we'd gotten from the Army. And I'm looking down there, and I thought, sure he's not 1, because 1 was about 6'4".
He was.
A good-looking kid, and I'm like, golly. So they had some talent. I thought Connor Ashley played an amazing football game. If that kid is a 5-star receiver, he had 1 catch, and that was just they put him out there so that Connor couldn't man him, and swung it to him. Of course, it took the whole football team, and I think that Platter come off the sideline and made the tackle for us over there on that side.
He tried.
Everybody hit him. He's a big, strong guy. We didn't do a very good job of wrapping up right then, but he gets down there, and then they able to score, and then luckily they mishandled the extra point attempt, and we're up 7-6, and that holds. Not that there wasn't some excitement still to go during the course of the game. We have Ty has the long 65-yard run. We're unable to get it in. We get down to the 10 one time. We feel like we got a good play instead of trying to kick the extra point, because we intercept the pass. Connor does. Right. On the next drive, we go down. Really thought was going to score, but we decided to go for the field goal instead, and we missed the field goal. That's what makes us go for it then going into the win later on in the third quarter. And so it was or the fourth quarter. So, there was just some things in there that we missed some opportunities. I really felt like we should have probably scored 17 points in the course of the game. Of course, as it turns out, we have 3 or 4 big 4th down stops. The last one, all we have to do now is run out the clock. And Ty catches it the first time. They stop it because he's got bleeding on his arm. He comes over there. We put our starting receiver, backup quarterback in. And the first time it slips through his hands, but we catch it and go down to a knee. At that time, we should have had Ty back in, but everybody was thinking it was over. We still had 2 seconds difference, so we still snap it. And it snaps it, and it hits us right in the face. It goes through our hands, hits us in the face, and they recover. And, everybody, I think, about had a heart attack because there was a lot of people from their team and our team both fixing to go out and shake hands. And now then, they've got a chance to kick a field goal at the end to win. And their kid had a strong leg. It wasn't going to be the matter if he was, it was just going to be accuracy. And luckily, defense again rose up and got a little piece of the, I think Webb got a finger on the ball, comes up short and wide right anyway, and we win the game. And luckily it was 0-0-0 up there on the board as far as the time left.
I don't know if you know this, but you didn't have but maybe 1 or 2 of your coaching staff still in the box. Everybody else had started down. Absolutely. And I'm thinking that all of a sudden I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I just went from jubilation to just wanting to throw up.
Well, you know what, Kansas, I'm glad we don't feel like Texas Tech does right now.
Absolutely.
Because the same thing happens up there and some crazy stuff. And so you're just glad to get out of there with a win. I'll take 5 more 1-point wins, ugly wins, whatever you want to call them. I don't think that was an ugly win.
It wasn't.
That's a good win,
No.
and we did what we said. We knew it was going to be a low-scoring game from our standpoint. I thought the secondary played really well, and again, that kid's a 5-star. He has has offers from Ohio State to everywhere. He committed to Missouri. But I thought Connor just locked him down and did a great job all night long.
Well, Rafe, we've got several highlights in the ball game, a lot of those on the offensive side and many of the defensive side. So let's just roll our video, and Coach, I'll just let you describe it all right here.
Now, this is on our first drive. I think this was on a second down play there to Jordan Bradley. Nice pass. We were 3 for 3 on the first drive. Here's the one you're talking about to Connor. I think that was 3rd and 12 right then, and we ended up getting the first down. And here's where we was going on our diesel package, and they don't cover him. There's nobody out there. And, that people used to run the old hidden. Here's Connor's interception on the first drive.
Great concentration.
I think they only had the ball for about a minute and a half in the first quarter.
Just amazing how you were able to cage this defense and keep them all inside for the most of the night.
Great play by Davion. Yeah, we know the quarterback last year, and that's one of the things we come up with a little spy defense for us, to where we was keeping Webb back. Really, really proud of the way he was able to keep there. And there's Connor with another great play on their stud. But here's the guy that scares us to death every time he took off running, but we did. We kept him pretty good. I mean, our angles were great.
Givens with the great play.
Isaiah had another great game as always. Here he is running the ball. Jimmy gets a hip flexor, and that's one thing that was a surprise to us. We didn't know at halftime that he wasn't going back in. We get out there, and then we find out he can't. And so we're with Maurice and Isaiah.
Jay Reed there.
Jay Reed had, like I said, probably not tackle-wise. Here's Ty's 65-yard run. And then he's got some speed because we know Booker T, the speed they have, he makes some great moves.
About a 110-yard run altogether.
To get 65, yeah. We really, really needed to score here and not getting in. This was a tough deal for us, not getting in. But once again, the defense just playing outstanding. Jay Reed with another big play. But again, I thought this was Jay Reed's best game. Not the most tackles he's ever had, but still the best he's played.
Stayed at home all night long. Everybody, there's Connor again with another knockdown pass.
Here's the 4th down play. You got Jay Reed and them, and
you don't get past Connor, past Caleb, and then there's the blocked field goal at the end, and there's the final score.
Yeah.
7-6. With that 7-6 victory, it puts a lot more emphasis on Friday night's ball game because Bartlesville is the key to a first or second place opportunity in district.
Right. It goes back to, again, that Shawnee game, which this helped us so much in getting back.
Absolutely.
We said we controlled our own destiny last week, but it even puts more that, that Shawnee game was so sickening because you win that, right now it doesn't matter what happens this week because you're either first or second. And now we got to win this because there's even scenarios that we lose this ball game and you drop down to 4th. So, I mean, there's lots of things that can mess us up in there. But the main thing is we go out, we know that we've got to take care of business. It's senior night. Kids also know that if they play well and win, it won't be the last time they're at Indian Bowl. We'll host for sure a first-round playoff game, and that's what our goal was all year long and still is, and a chance to play for the district championship then the next week at Bixby. So, and as I said earlier in this weekend, after watching a little film, Bartlesville is the best offense we've faced yet. Now, defensively, they're not the best team we've faced yet, but offensively, scheme-wise, they've got a great tailback. The quarterback's the best quarterback we've faced yet, by far. They run the RPO so well. They got 2 great receivers. Their line is solid, and we have our work cut out for us defensively this week.
Well, we're going to talk more in depth about Bartlesville and the whole playoff picture after this timeout. We'll talk specifically about Friday night's senior night celebration at Indian Bowl against Bartlesville. We'll do that with you when we return on TV 15. Welcome back on TV 15, Muskogee River Football. Bill Huddleston along with the coach of the Ruffers, Rafe Watkins. And Rafe, senior night is always a special night for those seniors, but it's special for the coaching staff too because they've been a part of your family just like you've been a part of theirs for the last 4 years.
Right, and we've been here long enough now, this being our 6th year for most of this staff, We've watched these guys since they were in 6th grade growing up, and
Right.
they've been with us the whole time, and know them and their families, and most of their siblings, and they're a great group of young men. They will be missed. Again, hopefully it's 5 weeks from now,
Right.
and then everybody's happy. But it's a great group of kids. I think we got 21 seniors on the boys, and then a couple of senior girl trainers. And it's always a fun time. It's supposed to be great weather, as bad as it's going to be today and tomorrow weather-wise. It's supposed to be beautiful on Friday, and that's one thing I know that the weather was bad the other night, but we've got to have the stands full for this one. I know it's statewide TV. You still got the rougher TV and all the other things, but we really need to come out and support these kids and get it going crazy there at the Indian Bowl, because this is a big, big ball game. Again, 21 great seniors playing their last regular season game on the Indian Bowl, and could be the last if we don't play well. So just come out and support them.
I got on my soapbox last Friday night and stood up and basically just felt like an evangelistic preacher. There's no reason, regardless of the weather conditions, you can put on wet weather gear, you can bring your umbrella, sit in the stands, you can bundle up, bring extra blankets, and come and show your support for this football team, because these kids work hard every day in practice, regardless of the conditions. The coaches, the players are out there when it's cold, when it's wet, or when it's sunshine, or when it's windy, whatever, getting ready to play and represent Muskogee. And we want to have you in the stands Friday night. And it's a nice way to say, job well done to this group of seniors, because it's been part of a 3-year winning streak.
It has been. These kids have been in the playoffs every year. Again, we're already in for this year as well. And so they've started something here. They've been a part of it, and we're very proud of them. And it's a great group. They'll be very, greatly missed next year.
It'll be hard to refill those spots.
Yes, it will be.
That's definitely. Now, speaking about filling the spots, let's be specific about Bartlesville. And even though the record is not overwhelmingly impressive, they're a dangerous football team. Lakin at quarterback, Cloudus is the running back. That young man's a bull.
Yeah, he's 5'9", 200 pounds. He's had a 200-yard game himself. Last week, his 190 yards. He's quite the little back. I mean, he's deceivingly fast. I mean, you watch him in some of these games. Sapulpa, we had them with that film when we was getting ready for Sapulpa, right. And we know that Sapulpa was not slow, and that's when Sapulpa still had all of their guys.
Exactly.
He broke in the open and outruns all them, so that lets you know he can fly a little bit, because that number 7 from Sapulpa was playing secondary and didn't catch him. They got two, as I said, really good receivers and the best quarterback we faced yet. And I'll be honest, he is every bit as good as the kid from Bixby. It's just he don't have, 2 Division I kids he's throwing to. He's got 2 really good receivers
right.
He's throwing to, but they're not obviously Presley over there, because you can make a lot of hay with that kid. But he is a great quarterback, and as I said, they're very, very well coached.
And they've got something
They've got the RPO. Well, because if they got Shawnee last week, so they're realizing they beat Shawnee. If they can beat us, that's 4 wins. Then you go to all the tiebreaker stuff. It kind of depends on what Sapulpa does. If Sapulpa can win out, then there'd be a 3-way tie there with 4 wins, and then we're in great shape, because we'd probably be 3rd. If all these ifs. Biggest thing is if we just beat Bartlesville,
I don't like
we're
ifs
1 or
and
2.
nuts. I like W's.
But I'm just giving you the scenarios. If we were to lose this game, if the next 2, we're still in the playoffs, but it's just going to be, we could be anywhere from 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, or we can be 1st. So we're still in all the scenarios. We can be 1 through 4, but the main thing is we're in. But you just don't want to be in that 4th spot having to go to Stillwater, because that is a tough road to go, and we want to host a playoff game here, and we do that. That other district, Dale City's really good, but they're probably going to get 2nd. But we get 2nd, we'll probably have a matchup either with Midwest City or Choctaw, possibly Deer Creek. But the biggest thing is we're only worried, in fact, we didn't even talk about it yesterday. All we talked about was Bartlesville, because we got to be 1-0 again this week.
Absolutely.
And you're 1-0, and then you can start talking about all the other stuff.
When you start talking about Mama Watkins cheesecake sopapillas, because getting in the playoffs.
They've got to win some more ball games before they get anything like that. But the biggest thing is we've just got to go out and play the best that we can. Today and tomorrow we're probably going to have to be in the indoor due to the weather, but fortunately we have that so we can, because we got to have great practices. But I'm just going back on Bartlesville's offense, going back to Dale City. Dale City's the most points they've given up. Now, they haven't played Stillwater yet, but that's week 10 for them over there. But Bartlesville scored 24 points on them. and that's the most they've given up all year on anybody. Bartlesville is 7-0 with Booker T going into the fourth quarter. Bartlesville's up on Sapulpa with all of their guys healthy, 34-21 at halftime. They ended up losing the ball game, but they've put points up on everyone. And as I said, this to date is probably our biggest challenge defensively. Just now, do they have the athletes that Tulsa Washington has? No. Those guys can make things happen in one play. But overall scheme and the way they spread the ball around, they're the best offense we've faced to date.
Well, it's certainly going to be an exciting Friday night. Like Coach said, the weather forecast for now, knock on wood, is going to be perfect. That's a reason for you to get your tickets now and be on hand Friday night. Fill the stands. It's the last final regular season game. And with just a little bit of fortune, there'll be a postseason game at home, too, here in a couple of weeks. But right now, one thing is for sure, Muskogee, Bartlesville, 7 o'clock Friday night at Indy Bowl. We want to see you there dressed in green. Show your support for the Ruffers, be in attendance. If for some unforeseen reason you can't make it, remember you can watch it on rufferfootball.com or listen to it on 101.7 Okie Country KTFX. Rafe, so far so good, man. Let's go get number 8 on Friday night.
And more importantly, number 5.
Absolutely. For Rafe Watkins, I'm Bill Huddleston. Muskogee Ruffers winning every day the Muskogee way, because it's always a great day to be a Ruffer. See you next week.